Hello everyone, Jeff with a Green Review. This tree was cut down by North American beavers. The North American beaver is North America's largest rodent. In the past, it covered the entire country from the Arctic Circle down to northern Mexico and from the Pacific to the Atlantic. It was exterminated over large areas of the country because the fur was used for hats and other things. I'm not sure I've ever seen a beaver fur hat, but that's what it was used for. North American beavers, as elementary school kids will tell you, build dams. And what a lot of people don't know is that behind the dam, they build a lodge. They make a huge mound-shaped structure out of mud and branches. They have underwater entrances to that lodge, and in that flooded water behind the dam, they will take all the small branches off the trees they cut down, stab them into the mud like a planted little forest, and in the wintertime, they will go through and pull out those branches, pull them into the lodge, and eat the bark off of those little branches. Sometimes you'll find branches that have been chewed on and they're just stripped bare of the bark. The area that's around the beaver dam that gets flooded provides habitat for other animals. The beavers cutting down trees seems like it'd be a damage, but for those trees that are not in your own backyard, where it is a damage, when you only have a big grassy area and one or two trees and they cut down a tree, that's definitely going to be a damage problem. But in a more natural area like this, the cutting down of the trees can be beneficial. By opening up the area to more sunlight, more plants can grow. And most of these trees re-sprout. This particular hackberry actually has a separate stump here that has been cut off many years ago, and this branch, or this trunk right here, was the regrowth from that tree. Now what happens is a lot of times you'll end up with a lot of small shoots coming up from the root systems of those plants, which causes a dense shrubbery kind of effect that a lot of birds will nest in. And all those extra branches and low growth of leaves provide food for deer and moose and other animals. So the beaver is doing a beneficial habitat readjustment for birds and mammals. And then the flooded areas stay flooded longer, so you have an intermittent stream that dries up in the summer, and now you'll end up with pools of water that are stuck behind the dams, which then helps other animals in the summertime to have water available. And it actually acts as a natural fire break in areas that need that. In their forested areas, the beavers are providing benefits for people as well. So the beavers do a lot of good, but at the same time, they do some damage. And one of the damages, of course, is cutting down your trees. But another damage that a lot of people don't recognize is erosion that they cause. The beavers that create dams slow the water and clean the water and benefit the fish and all those other things, so that's all great. But the kits, the young beavers, when they're adolescents, get kicked out of the lodge and have to go make their own lodge and their own dam. Well, they can't always do that. So you get beavers that are growing in urban areas and in areas where the rivers are kept open for motorboats or barges. You still end up with beavers in those rivers. Those kits, when they first leave, don't have a chance to build a dam and a lodge. They will go into the riverbanks and burrow in underneath of trees. So you have a tree on an island or on the shoreline where the beavers are living underneath the root system, so it's hard for a fox or something to dig down to try to get to them, and so the tree is protecting them. But the dirt that they move out of the way ends up being eroded away, and more erosion is caused underneath by that burrow, and so eventually that tree falls over into the river, which then can cause damage to boat traffic. So they're causing erosion and possible damage to boats that are in the rivers. So just because you don't see beaver dams doesn't mean that there aren't beavers there. And you might just be surprised when you're walking through the woods and all of a sudden you find a tree that's been cut down by a beaver in an area that you wouldn't have thought that the beavers are there. So what's this mean to me? If you have just a few trees in your backyard and you think beavers are going to be chewing on them, the real only defense that you have is putting wire mesh on the tree trunks. In large natural areas, you can just let them go through and knock down a tree or two. They will actually cut down very large trees. I've seen cottonwood trees with 2-foot diameter trunks that have been cut down. So they are very patient, and they gnaw away, and they will eventually cut down very large trees. They won't always be working on small trees like this. And this is Jeff with A Greener View. Thanks for watching.